22 jobs, one at a time. This is Backlog Buster's Final Fantasy V Single Job Challenge series. The core rule is to only use the assigned job. I'll be forced to go jobless using Freelancer until the assigned job becomes available. As soon as the job unlocks, I'll switch out of Freelancer and be locked into that job for the rest of the game, for better or for worse. I'll be doing my best to see the majority of the optional content, but it's going to depend on the individual job for some of it. As an additional challenge, I'm going to try and beat the game at as low a level as possible, and to minimize grinding, though some grinding is likely inevitable. Other than that, there are no restrictions. All equipment, game mechanics, and strategies are available to beat the game and see the credits. Working through that lengthy list one by one, this time I'll be playing. It's the completely brainless Berserker. This is another water crystal job, so I'm ripping through the early game as fast as possible. As a fair warning to you, I'm gonna have to grind so much in this run, I'm just gonna turn on 4 times the XP and kill rates and leave them on for the whole game. God bless the boost feature. As for the game itself, well, Lena and Gloof join the party, then Ferris joins up after a brief boating bonanza. The Wind Shrine's easy. I may not actually have Berserker yet, but I'm channeling it. Attacks only. Wing Raptor gets its wings clipped, and yeah, not the shards that I'm after. Give me that key, zook, and I'm hitting up the shops to get situated. Now I'm through Torno Canal to find the mighty Carlobos. Many a run killer, he said, holding back laughter. Galoof did bite it, but auto attack reigned supreme. I'm continuing to channel the mighty Berserker through the ship graveyard, right up until I get to Siren. Well, honestly, that was still awfully brainless. Siren turned undead, which meant I swapped from spamming attacks to spamming potions. Lena did take a dirt nap right before Siren fell. Well, you know, he can't win them all. Tented up, I'm making my way downtown, walking fast, faces pass, and I'm rod bound. And I need swords, and I miss armor, and now I wander up the North Mountain. Doing this Alpine style, baby. I sure hope Lena doesn't get poisoned since I forgot to buy antidotes. Oh no, it's Magisa. I hope she doesn't wear a leotard around me, haha. One round of sword swinging and Magisa's calling for backup. Oh, come on, she's married? I'm continuing to channel the Berserker. I will not do anything except auto attack. Even if all my friends die, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Magisa goes down and I was barely able to focus down Forza before he killed me. The team just can't stop winning. Whip acquired. Poison 2 Electric Boogaloo for Lena. Once again, I'm jobless, so I'm heading to Tycoon Castle. The usual cutscenes play out, followed by getting the mighty Ashura, healing staff, and is this a joke? A bell? Anyways, back to the Windrake to fly to Waltz Castle. But I'm snatching up those silver specs first, then new weapons and armor. Battle axes are going to be useful shortly, so I'll take 4. Then the heaviest armor and shields that you got. Now, King Waltz, let's go break that crystal. Stop the evil Warlock Exdeath from breaking that crystal. I think a brief trip down to the castle's basement is in order. Free elf cape for me. Didn't even see a jackanape. Wonder how I pulled that off. The Waltz Tower is a breeze for my setup, even jobless. At the top, Garula blocks my path. You won't stop me from getting my job, elephant bear thing. Magisa's whip holds the secret to beating Garula. This whip paralyzes magic beast type enemies. When Garula's paralyzed, he gets no attacks off, and more importantly, no counters off either. Bartz and the gang can just melee Garula down while he's paralyzed. I was in complete control of the situation. Complete control. But I also didn't use the Frost Rod on Magisa, so Lena can smash it now. I won't be able to after this battle, after all. Yeah, that was one combat round on Garula. Probably killed him before I finished gabbing. The water crystal shatters, and the true horror begins. The Berserker overview is pretty unremarkable. They wear heavy armor, they can equip shields, which is always great, then they can use daggers, hammers, and axes as weapons. Hammers and axes are not great. They're a lot like swords in terms of damage output, but they have a unique damage formula that causes their damage to be extremely variable. Hammers and axes also have bad accuracy, which is exactly what I'm looking for in weapons. But I gotta address the major elephant in the room. No, not Garula's corpse. This is that Berserkers are permanently under the Berserk status. This means that for the rest of the game, I can no longer take any actions in battle. At all. That means no healing, no picking targets, no defending, no using items, no changing rows. It's just having my characters hit stuff until either it dies and I win, or my party gets completely wiped. The one upside is that Berserkers are actually immune to the confused status, which is kind of cool. Arguable how useful that's gonna be, though. Also worth noting right now is that I can't run from battles anymore. The chicken knife would have been a decent get for Berserker, but I would have had to run from the 255 battles to maxed out before unlocking Berserker, and well, I forgot, so there you go. No coward's knife for me. All I can do with Berserkers is set them up for success with good gear choices and honestly, more importantly, levels. I can prepare them as best I can, but once the battle starts, I just gotta cheer them on from the sidelines. Obviously, during this time, I've made it to Karnak, and get promptly thrown in the slammer. Hey, my animal print pants are not out of control, alright? They're stylish. Sid breaks me out, and hey, it's Suze! Love that guy. Karnak has new equipment, mainly mithril hammers and daggers along with superior heavy armor and shields. Daggers may seem less good than axes and hammers, but they're at least consistent. Also, swapping to seemingly inferior weapons may be the key to beating some bosses, I'm not gonna lie to ya. I shan't be selling anything even remotely wearable by Berserkers. While I can't use items in battle, they're still important for out-of-combat healing. This is where the grind truly begins. Wild knacks are hardly a good damage indicator, but spiking for 250 to 500 damage on them is not bad at this stage in the game at all. After a very lengthy grind session, I'm at level 24 and it's time to tackle the fire ship. Berserker is going to have to get very beefy before I can tackle most of these bosses. Mostly, I just need the survivability. Of course, the enemies in the fire ship are no problem since I'm grossly overleveled. Let's cut to the chase. I'm burning, seething to fight anything and everything that comes my way, Queen Karnak. The controller's down, show me what you got, boys. The damage is pretty strong, but I can only eat a few blaze counters before I'm wiped out. By the skin of my teeth, the Berserkers managed to kill Liquid Flame. If Liquid Flame got even one more turn off, I'd have been killed by the final blaze counter. Lena did really clutch it here. Fire Crystal gets blowed up because some random guy showed up and hit a switch. Great. Suze? More like noble sacrifice. Rest in peace, fellow Wolfman. Anyways, the escape from Karnak is going to be pretty obnoxious since I can't run from any battles. My Zerkers see red, and everything is kill on sight. The priority down here, as usual, is the Elf Cape on one side and the main Gauche on the other side of the castle. Both of these give you physical evasion, which is extremely useful when you can't heal in battles. That's the second Elf Cape acquired, now to snag that main Gauche. Really enjoying the random targeting of Berserkers, by the way. Sometimes they'll just slug the guys in the back row. The row system works for enemies too, by the way, so half damage it is. I grabbed the Gauche, and that's a direct damage buff on top of its insane physical evasive capabilities. Get me out of here. Final Karnak encounter is the Iron Claw. The Berserkers just killed him before he transformed. Pretty darn cool, didn't expect that one. The first set of Fire Crystal shards are mine, but that's a story for another day. No use crying over exploded castles. I'm moving down to the Ancient Library, and yes, I've already mastered Berserker at this point. All this job offers is the permanent Berserk ability, i.e. completely useless, and equip axes and hammers, which is not particularly useful either. I spent some time grinding Dorm Chimeras in the desert in between the library and Karnak because I was level 25. That's not a good idea for the library. At level 26, it's a much better plan going down there. The library's book-based enemies are all cruising for a bruising. Ifrit's also taking a beating, but if Ifrit gets too many blazes off, I'm both literal and metaphorical toast. The Berserkers clutch it and pound Ifrit into submission. Now I can continue straight to the lowest parts of the basement. Book-based boss Byblos about to get brain-bonked to death. Is what I would say if he didn't immediately do a protect counter. Oh great, my one weakness. Having my physical damage output, who could have guessed this? Not to mention that now Byblos is spamming slow and that halves my turns, giving me the good old half and half. At the very least, both Confuse and Magic Hammers are whiffs because man, this damage is just horrific now. One more slow, why not? And oh boy, here come the drain counters. Byblos is draining more than I'm hitting for sometimes, and he's getting everyone slowed to death. This one's looking like a total loss, boys. Whoa, hang on. What? Just kidding, they pulled it off? How? I do not know. Oh, right, it must have been all of that excessive grinding I had to do. I'm never gonna complain about a win, though. Mid's here, and he's gone. Let's go see what Sid's up to, and they're both gone. The fire ship's fixed up, and don't tell anyone, but I'm taking it. I've never been more excited to head to Crescent Island in my life. Let's just head into town, and oh, goodbye, fire ship. But the reason I'm so excited is for this battle right here. The Harvester enemies drop Death Sickles. These are axes with very high damage for this stage of the game, and they also can cast instant death. You may remember these from their brief appearance in Samurai Only, Dragoon Only, and Dancer Only. One Death Sickle was enough for Archeoavis in those challenges, but I'm here for the full set. I need at least 4. Not to mention I'm getting EXP for days here grinding these. Finally, I have my 4 Death Sickles. The main gauche is undoubtedly good, but the power of the Death Sickle reigns supreme. Now to rescue that black chocobo. Oh my god, he's choking on my crystal shards. I can't use these ones yet. Never mind. Soon though. The horrors await soon. For saving his life, that black chocobo's forever in my debt. I'm forcing him to fly me back to the ancient library. Sid and Mid have the deets, and they want to head to Arrakis, those sand dunes over there. Call me a big one, Muad'Dib. He said, Muad'Dib. This is where berserking really sucks. The sandworm's holes are just dummy targets waiting to get hit with my death sickles. I've got a 1 in 3 chance to actually hit the sandworm, and my berserkers are clearly just too stupid to do it. Every time they miss sandworm and hit a hole, they get hit with a gravity counter. This is a extremely fun version of the whack-a-mole game. But my berserkers' power still reigns supreme? Somehow, their damage output let me beat sandworm on the very first try. Listen. If you're in the know, you're in the know, and I have nightmares about this fight to this day. You can see just how bad this could have been by supporting the channel on Patreon or becoming a channel member on YouTube. You can watch me tackle this All Berserkers challenge on the original Super Nintendo version in a premium video, not to mention access to an exclusive Discord server. Shillin' time's over, I'm leaving to save. Definitely don't want to die and have to refight that again. Death Sickles are completely disgusting at this stage of the game, by the way, absolutely trashing all the enemies in random fights. They either kill them outright with physical damage, or instant death comes and kills them. It's beautiful. I will simply win King Tycoon's hide-and-seek tournament, but he's a poor sport and I'm dropped into the catapult. My anger's rising? Rising? I'll take it all out on the Crayclaw. Oh, 1 combat round was all it took, huh? The world's my oyster, but I'm heading to Jackhole first. This has new weapons and some armor, mainly the ninja suit. This grants extra speed and agility. But there's also Mage Mashers. These are daggers that can occasionally cast the silence spell, which will be extremely useful for several fights, let me tell ya. The Ogre Axes available in Jackhole are just straight up weaker than the Death Sickle, so there's not much point to getting them. Now it's north to Gone to raise those ronky ruins. Quick, what do I do, Brainlords? Oh, the Adamantite, of course. Wait, are you sure you remember, Gloof? You're an amnesiac old man, after all. Turns out he was right! The Adamantoise is very mad, though. Pure physical attacks is not that scary for my setup. I've got 2 elf capes with shields on everybody and beefy frontliners. My damage isn't great against Adamantoise, but it's more than enough to take out the turtle. You know, those things are always dying of plastic straws anyways, how tough could they really be? But I've just remembered, I've been grinding with 4 times EXP and gil rates. I'm gonna go ahead and buy 4 Angel Rings at History, just because I can, and honestly, I actually probably need them coming up. Oh look, it's Ramu! Death Sickles instantly killed him. Disgusting. I hung around the History Falls area for a bit to get this encounter with 5 mini-dragons. This is one of the most profitable in the first world in terms of EXP and gil gains. It's also really dangerous because 5 frostbites will absolutely demolish your party, but I'm level 30 at this point, which honestly, unrestricted, is very capable of beating the game. But for Berserkers, I'm a long ways off. After a brief grind session here, I'm back on the airship, and my airship's upgraded at the catapult, and now I'm up to the Ronka ruins. The side cannons, not a problem at all, absolutely decimated by Death Sickles. Berserkers are naturally immune to confuse, so I'm not worried about missile attacks at all, they're total whiffs. Oh no, here comes the mighty, girthy Soul Cannon. I've got 4 Angel Rings on, so I can't be hit with ult, and that's really important. My party has randomized targeting, so I have to pray that they take down the side launchers first. That's 1 down pretty early, and oh, there goes the second one. I managed to get through phase 1 relatively unscathed, but can I survive the wave cannon? Bartz and Ferris did not, but Lena and Galoof managed to clutch it out and win. Love those guys. I'm heading back down for an item restock, and then I'm back up into the ruins. I have to fight every single thing I come across in the Ronka ruins since running is impossible. I'm just hoping that my items hold out. Potions only heal for 50 HP, so burning through 99 is completely feasible in a dungeon crawl. Honestly, using elixirs to heal in between battles will probably happen at some point. They really serve no other purpose in this challenge, but it feels so wrong. I did tear through a lot of potions, but I made it to the bottom. Archeo-Avis's rotating magic resistance is of no consequence to Grug and the gang. They smash. Archeo-Avis rotates his magic resistance. They continue to smash. Archeo-Avis dies and comes back to life. They just keep smashing. Oh no, Maelstrom is real bad. But that's all he managed to get off. Who could have predicted that having a party of strong physical attackers would trivialize a boss whose main strategy is to hit him with physical attacks? Honestly, Berserkers Only is going just swimmingly. Everybody said that Berserker Only was gonna be hard, haha. Quile, no, don't do it! Oh, it was just a warning lightning bolt. Precious memories restored across the board, and X-Death destroys the Earth Crystal. Yeah, I've done most of these, and Chemist is for another time there, buddy. X-Death left to Galoof's world, and Galoof and Quile follow him, leaving me to figure out a way to Galoof's world on my own. But Grug, not smart. Grug asked Brainlords how. Our quad berserker bonanza is down a man. I predict this not being a problem though. I sure hope some bombs with ill intent don't show up. Every time. The bomb squad's actually not that scary for my team. The only thing I'm concerned about is that they'll cast Arise on Death, resurrecting the other bombs. This is a huge problem. It's also the first appearance of the Mage Masher. Mage Masher and their silence procs will negate the Arise final attack. Just kidding, I came in with Death Sickles by accident, which work a treat apparently. Evidently when a Death Sickle proc goes off there's no Arise counter, who knew? But I did get a bit unlucky and didn't get a critical death proc, well, multiple times. But you know, it's good to know that this could have worked with Death Sickles. That was the first wipe, now it's time to do the real strategy. The damage of the Mage Mashers is way lower, and I do mean way lower, especially because random targeting the back row halves my damage output. But who could have predicted that the bombs would mostly self-destruct themselves to death? Oh, come on, the final bomb didn't get silenced before it died? Oh, bye-bye, Lena. Well, let's just do that whole thing over again. Finally, the second to last bomb self-destructed, and the last one was finished off while silenced. Victory achieved using a modicum of intelligence and planning. Titan's next on the chopping block. Death Sickles, will you reign supreme once again? Well, yeah, of course they did. And the final Earthshaker barely took me to 50% health. Is this the power of being a grind maxer in Final Fantasy V? The final meteor's at Gone. Those two are taking a little while. Oh no, it's the dastardly Chimera Brain. Did you know that Chimera Brain can be instant deathed? Me neither. Are Berserkers truly as bad as they say? Only time will tell. If I was a smart man, I would have came fully equipped with flame and coral rings from Istri just in case, but I'm fed up with this world. What wonders does Galoof's world hold? Ah, well I see that prisons still exist here, and animal print pants are still illegal. Galoof's riding that geriatric dragon to bust me out though. Gilgamesh cannot handle the sheer killing power of a Death Sickle. 2 hits and I'm done here. The gang's back together. This is truly an apes together strong moment. The big bridge was only ever a problem for a lowly, degenerate Dragooner. It won't be a problem for a jacked up brainlet fueled only on gamer rage. A rematch with Gilgamesh? Don't make me laugh. Ha. Haste and Protect is a brutal combo, but Dragoons always lose. Just like how I'm always barrier blasted across the world. How did the crew survive this? I have run out of potions though, which means this walk to town is actually a little bit scary. Haha, just kidding, I made it with ease. I can finally buy high potions now. 500 HP a pop is a godsend when I have to fight anything and everything that I come across. As for weapons, the Death Sickle still reigns supreme. I'll take 4 Orichalcum Dirks just in case, but the Warhammers are a direct downgrade. Skipped? Loaded up on consumables and new gear, it's waltzing through the forest. What's that? Should we kill it? No, there will be plenty of other monsters to kill down in the caves. Death Sickle's still proving once again to be insanely strong. Instant death procs work in a treat. Right up until I get to the boss of this area, Tyrannosaur. Usually an easy kill by throwing a Phoenix down. Sure would be nice if I could actually control my characters now. Coming into this fight with a Death Sickle is a recipe for disaster. So those Orichalcum Dirks I bought are getting equipped. This fight really shouldn't be a problem. Right up until the blue magic question mark hits me for thousands of damage. That's Galoof down, then Ferris gets nailed with it for over 4,000 damage. But those berserking boys just keep on winning. The train truly has no brakes. The Moogle village has the usual prizes, a bunch of gil and the dancing dagger. I might actually get some use out of it too. I don't think the berserkers will actually dance, so this is just a strong knife. I put on my Moogle suit, and Elf Cape number 3 is mine. Quile's taking that geriatric dragon to pick me up, re-establishing her cab service. Almost thought she retired for a second there. Ball's cool, but let's get out of here. What do you mean the dragon's dying? It just flew like a few seconds ago. Okay, fine. I will climb Galoof's world's North Mountain. Alpine style again. Hello, fellow wolfmen of Kelb. I am just like you, for real, for real. Galoof, what do you mean I didn't have to hurt him? That's all Grug knows how to do. Oh, I love the Dawn Warriors, especially Zaza. I've forgiven him. He's back on the top of my favorite character tier list. Kelb has power sashes, which increase my killing power, so you know that those are getting equipped. The power armlets would be nice, but the elf capes and angel rings are simply too good to pass up. There's way too many undead enemies in Drakenvale, so I've got to resort to the Orichalcum Dirks once again. It really feels so wrong to use a knife as a Berserker. The damage is still really good though. Granted, that's because I'm like level 35, but still. Ah yes, the Bone Mail. Of course I can wear it as a Berserker. It's also very likely staying on forever. As Berserkers, I have no way to heal in combat anyways, so the major downsides of the Bone Mail are basically non-existent for me. Granted, fire or holy attacks are absolutely gonna wreck me, but those aren't that common. In fact, the poison breaths are actually getting absorbed now. God, it would rock if I could get 4 Bone Mails at this point. The Drakenvale Sacred Circle, and it's time for the boss man, plant, I guess. I'm a man with a personal vendetta against my lawn. The lore runs deep, alright? The first round of Dragon Flowers shows up and are promptly taken out by my zany Berserkers and their wacky targeting. Worked out in my favor this time. Dragon Flowers round 2, and oh, what a surprise, an instant death spell hit the Dragon Pod. Bye-bye. Now just to clean up the rest of the flowers, and I'm done here. Death Sickles, you've served me well, but those Orichalcum Dirks gotta come back on before I head back down to the mountain and back into Ball. Grass-fed to Lena and then the Drake. Ladies first, am I right, fellas? But the Windrake's recovered from his old status, and I'm taking a detour to Surgate Castle, home of Zaza, of the Dawn Warriors. Those blacksmiths at Surgate have some interesting weapons. Poison axes. Lena, why are you drooling? Lena, no, don't eat that. I'm gonna buy 4 poison axes for the road. It's finally an axe that has more damage than the Death Sickle. Now I'm off to Sage Guido's cave, which promptly sinks, and then I fly myself to meet Zaza of the Dawn Warriors. My snooze sesh turns into a Gilgamesh pirate raiding nightmare. I'm not worried about Gilgamesh at all. My Berserker's power is maximum. It's just over 1 combat round before Enkidu shows up. Now I just have to have my Berserkers focus on Enkidu in the back row before he white wins again. Or, you know, kill Gilgamesh first, that's totally fine with me. Then Enkidu falls shortly afterwards, and then Galoof falls too. Grug not understand submarine. The barrier tower calls once again. The ever-present question, do I want reflect rings? Listen, Berserker only has been surprisingly painless so far, but Berserkers really do need to get all of the help that they can get. I'm just praying that my item stockpile holds out long enough. Oh good, my poison axes throw poison back at me from reflect knights. I know that you love it, Lena, but I can't have this going on any longer. 1 fight for 1 reflect ring? Never ever gonna complain about that. I gotta swap out to Orichalcum Dirks once again, because I'm gonna run out of antidotes otherwise. I spent about 15 minutes in the barrier tower grinding and reaching the top all in. To my shock, I actually got 4 reflect rings during this time too. Berserkers just can't stop winning. At the top of the tower, it's good old Atmos. The poison axes are back on. I'm so high level that Atmos' usually lethal comets are actually not enough to kill my Berserkers right away. Lena's the one who finally bites the dust, but I've already decimated Atmos' health bar. Lena doesn't even get sucked halfway to the interdimensional maw. Free victory for the Quadzerkers once again. Now I'm jumping off the barrier tower and never thinking about Zaza again. A new submarine for me means new locations to explore. The first of which is of course my favorite, Sage Guido's cave. Oh look, I made it to the end. And yes, I forgot how to do the puzzles once again. Guardian Branch obtained, and now I'm heading up back through an underwater tunnel to Moore's Lake. Moore's offerings are pretty mediocre for Berserkers. Air knives are worth picking up, but I won't use them just yet. The rest is just new shields and armor, and of course a restock of healing items. I got taxed really hard in Sage Guido's cave. Let me in! Let me in! Racing through the forest and, oh no. Exdeath lit it on fire, who could have predicted this? I will grab the Aegis shield, and oh my god, I can actually use it this time. Berserker is one of the final jobs to actually be able to use a shield. I have no doubt in my mind that this will be an invaluable asset on this insanely angry adventure. The crystals are up next. Elf Cape's on the whole crew for physical evasion, and the Death Sickles are making a final hurrah. That's right, the crystals of Galoof's world are susceptible to instant death. It missed? Maybe it doesn't work in the Pixel Remaster. Nope, never mind, there it is. Bye-bye, Fire Crystal. Now the back crystal's gone to an instant death, then the bottom, and finally the front crystal. Not gonna lie, one of the easier crystal fights that I've ever had. Wait, are all these fights considered easy? I have done 0 inputs in anything post-Garula. But Exdeath's on the scene and Galoof is simply too angry to die. That's exactly what's been happening the whole game. Is this truly the opposite of ludonarrative dissonance? Galoof's done. Rest in peace, Wolfman number 2. Kryl, you gotta get mad. You gotta want revenge. You gotta make Exdeath taste the pain. Yeah, sure, just wear your cute jammies, I guess it's fine. Man, another Wolfman's dying? It's not fair, bros. But at least Kelgar opened the way up on his way out. First chest in Exdeath Castle, you know I'm grabbing that ice shield. It's a must-have. The Death Sickles are getting benched. The crew's going to slice up Exdeath's Castle with air knives now. Since I have to fight everything, the way up is slow going. Exdeath's Castle is actually a very big difficulty spike casually, but my Berserkers are also in their early 40s, so it's not so bad. I'm paying some hefty high potion taxes though. Samurai and Dragoons got new weapons in here, but unsurprising to anybody at this point, hammers and axes are a neglected weapon class in Final Fantasy V. There's absolutely nothing for me here anymore. I must simply auto-battle my way to reach the Sacred Circle to refresh and save. If you think that I'm gonna skip Gilgamesh, well, you have not been paying attention to the literature. Looks like this is gonna be very easy. Flash, huh? Great. And now Bartz is asleep. And now Kryl is small. The absolutely amazing sound of Berserkers whiffing constantly. Bartz finally woke up and he's not blind, so come on Bartz, I know you can do it. A form change followed almost immediately by a banishing to the Shadow Realm. I'm heading back to do a quick refresh at the save point. Now I must quench my lust for revenge. God, Skullface is so stupid. I love it. I'm bricked up with reflect rings. All I can do is hope for the best though. No doom? Absolutely great start. Yikes. Reverse polarity is pretty bad. The knives are doing about 500 damage a pop, which honestly could be a lot worse from the back row. You do gotta love how Earthshaker and Zombie Breath both ignore reflect rings. The Berserkers are still doing okay, but you know, a lack of healing always makes me nervous. There's a Blizzaga, which of course gets reflected with my reflect rings. Exdeath's in his final phase. This is it. It's him or me. All these shields work in a treat to block the physicals and vacuum waves. Not long after though, Exdeath is defeated. I've beat the game using all Berserkers. What do you mean there's a third world to get through? Ferris looking pretty good in that dress, but I'm not gonna lie. I prefer a woman in leopard print. Quad Zerker down to Duo Zerker, which really sucks. My killing power is halved. Boko, I require your aid once again. Just to cross a river this time around. Oh no, I actually can't use the magic lamp? That's a big problem. Anyways, the antlion shows up. Oh no. At this level, with this damage output, I crushed it easily. This cutscene is fun to watch exactly one time, by the way. What are we at now, 9? But Ferris is back in. My damage climbs. Sage Guido, how can you just sit there and eat pizza? Tell me the tale of the tablets. Tell me of the legendary weapons, which I will largely ignore because they honestly kinda suck for Berserkers. I'm heading westward into the desert, which I will now realize will feature the greatest challenge my Berserkers have faced yet, which is killing two things at exactly the same time. The Gargoyle Guardians of the Pyramid must be killed back to back, otherwise they'll revive and both get a full heal. There's nothing I can do here but pray that my Berserkers can lower their health evenly, and then burst them down at the same time. So my friends, let's go gambling! Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it. Oh, look at that, I finally won. It was looking pretty grim for a second there, but I did it all on the first try. I'm heading out and saving. I never want to deal with that again, he said, holding back tears as he remembers there's 3 more gargoyle fights. Believe it or not, the Pyramid of Mor holds fabulous secret treasures for the mighty Berserkers. The first is a second ice shield locked away in this chest. I never get this, but Berserkers really do need all the help that they can get. I also snagged the flame shield from the chest on the way up to the top. But I got bigger fish to fry. I'm out of here. The Dragon King's freed. I'll bonk him to death later. Hey look, my airship. Lena must have been drawn to the scent of my poison axes. She's returned with a scantily clad demon lady in tow. Melusine shouldn't be that big of a threat, but she's definitely gonna be annoying. I have a full set of reflect rings on, so I should be mostly fine. I can't just cut through her high physical defense like I could with Arcuavis though. Or can I? I guess at level 43 with poison axes, my damage is actually high enough to at least damage her. Eventually Melusine barrier switches to weak to physical. This means I can do my normal, i.e. good, physical damage, and she promptly keels over. The whole gang's back together, the Quad Zerker kill frenzy is back in business. Airship obtained, cutscenes peep, and it's finally time to get the Merged Worlds show on the road. I'm definitely starting off by taking the standard pilgrimage to Phantom Village. The thief knife is snatched, and it's going to be critically important. You'll see. You'll all see. At the weapons store, I'm purchasing 4 Gaia hammers. These can randomly cast Earthquake, which with Berserker's absolute brainless status is not that impressive, but they do have superior damage to poison axes. Black Chocobo freed, and I'm back into Phantom once again. I'm selling anything extraneous. I barely broke 200,000 gil, but that means I can get everyone a set of Hermes sandals for permanent haste. Permanent haste for Berserkers means twice as many turns, which means even more killing power. Also, they give you immunity to stop, slow, and paralyze, which is actually really good. I'm about 7 hours deep into this challenge point, and I'm level 43, just for reference. I'm not gonna lie to you though, I'm going to have to grind an absolute ton if I want to even stand a chance at beating this challenge. I'm headed to the North Desert and grinding. I spent an hour here with 4 times rates. It was definitely a lucrative grind session. I gained 10 levels. I'm 53 now. But now I need to continue my quest. Kuza calls. I knew I'd get into a fight here. Shield dragons are really scary, but knock silly isn't a problem for berserkers since they're innately immune to confuse. That being said, these fights are just not worth fighting. Too bad I can't run. Tablet dropped. Well, let's start with the rune axe, and of course, my old friend, the assassin's dagger. That's all I can use, so third can be whatever. Of course, the flame lash. The rune axe is unique in that it uses your MP when attacking for bonus attack power. It's not like I'm using my MP for anything else. Get equipped, rune axe. The assassin's dagger is also really strong, so it's going on my standard loadout too. With a tablet down, X-Death unleashes the monsters of the void. I'm finally out of Kuza too, never to return. Now I will tackle the island shrine. Oh god, not another set of gargoyles. Pray for me. It's Let's Go Gambling 2 Electric Boogaloo. How convenient. Grinding 10 levels and getting greatly superior weapons has trivialized the encounter. Simple blessings. The island shrine has nothing that I care about either. It's simply heading all the way to the bottom. Well, I guess that's not entirely true. I could use the thief knife to steal ice shields from the numbblades down here, but for right now, I seek the tablet. Wendigo's a shell game, so I have to pick the right target. When my berserkers have random targets, this is going to take a long time. You're gonna see a lot of whiffs in this fight. Wendigo mostly just spams Mind Blast when he chooses to attack, that is. I'm immune to the paralyze effect because of the Hermes sandals, so not a threat at all. It honestly didn't take too long, and without much resistance, Wendigo goes down. And this opens up the Fork Tower. And we need to have a little bit of a chat. It is possible to beat Omniscient in the Fork Tower with Berserkers using the Mage Mashers that I picked up way back in Jack Hole in World 1. Silence doesn't last that long in Omniscient, so you basically need to have every single attack proc a silence. It's just not feasible to beat Omniscient any other way. The other nuance to take note of is that the Fork Tower is entirely optional. You never have to do it. In fact, if I was to redo something about this whole challenge series over again, I would be to remove the See the Content stipulation. I would have just skipped the Fork Tower, Undersea Trench, and Istri Falls for, well, most jobs. Anyways, I'm taking my standard out. I'm grabbing Fire 3 from Moore and turning the Tycoon Sisters into Black Mages. Then I'm spamming Fire 3 and running to the top of the tower. The Berserkers can crush the physical tower easily. It's not even a concern. The Minotaur fears my power. Once again for Omniscient, Berserker's only path is to use the Mage Masher and pray for a silence proc every single time. While this is theoretically possible to do, it's just not realistic or feasible to actually pull it off. Even with the Devil's Own lock, you'd be here for hours as you watch Omniscient spam return as soon as you whiff a silence. Berserkers are also incapable of running Omniscient out of MP using Reflect Rings. They'll just attack constantly, which means your only way to potentially beat Omniscient is with the Mage Mashers. So while this is possible, I'm never gonna try to make it work. I've got too many more videos to make, man. Now that I think about it, I'm not even halfway done this series. Yikes. Anyways, that's Omniscient blown up. My airship is upgraded into a slash submarine, and the rest of the merged world is at my fingertips. Back at Phantom, I'm restocking on items and grabbing 4 coral rings. Now it's off to Istri Falls because there are some beautiful upgrades to acquire. Oh great, another set of gargoyles. Another Gamba sesh it is. Thankfully the first one dies, and then a big 2k hit from Kryl finishes off the last one. I'm saving, and then I'm heading down. Oh no, not Tonberries! Come on, you guys can do it, I believe in you, no fear. Oh my god, they actually did it? Dude, nice. I'm making my way all the way to the bottom of Istri Falls. For these 2 chests specifically. The first contains a second Aegis shield. To no one's surprise, this is staying on someone for the rest of the game. Next is the Titan's Axe. This is a very powerful axe. 91 base damage is no joke. With my coral rings on, I'm snatching that tablet. Red guy, get gone so I can face the man of the hour. Leviathan is a freebie with coral rings. But even if he didn't spam Tidal Wave, my berserkers would crush him easily. I have over 4,000 health and insane damage at this point in the game. I would have easily survived. It may have taken a few attempts wearing Hermes sandals, but it's absolutely free with coral rings. That's Istri done and dusted. Now is as good a time as any to tackle Bahamut in the Phoenix Tower. Alpine style up the North Mountain once again. A handful of reflect rings basically makes Bahamut free too, especially when Bartz has the bone mail on and Ferris has a flame shield. My damage is supreme, and Bahamut gets blasted to his Mega Flare bracket quickly and then roasts himself. That's really all the content I care to do. Beating the boss of the Undersea Trench is going to be difficult without target all damage. Go-Go is simply useless to do. Beating Odin is an inevitability for my guys. So, I'm heading down into the rift now. This is where the fun really begins. The first area of the rift is just fighting through the same desert enemies I grinded on a couple of hours ago. Easy peasy. The Ronka Ruins area is more of the same. Nothing of note, except everyone was a level divisible by 5, and I only survived the level 5 death because Bartz was bone mail in it. Whoops. As for the forest, been there, done that. Oh, look, it's Green Crystal Lady. My physical attacks are supreme. Her drain counters are A, whiffing because my levels are so high, and B, barely doing any damage, so my victory here is inevitable. Moving on to the caves. Oh great, super evasive pigs. Sure am glad that I can run from battles. I finally slogged my way through to the library. It's a panda, Byblos' older brother. Instant protect, dude nice. Oh, he's resorting to drain counters. Are Califisteri and a panda the same bosses? Anyways, when you're this high level, beating these early rift bosses is inevitable. The castle's up next, and there's actually a weapon that I desperately want to get in here. All I gotta do is head left to find a Thor's hammer on this chest. This is weaker than the Titan's axe, but has a special property. Back row, okay baby. Back row, okay may seem trivial, but anything I can do to prolong my Berserkers' lives is positive. Taking half damage from physical attacks and vacuum waves is gonna be super good. Let's test it out on the famous Blue Mage, Azul Magia. Yeah, alright, it's pretty okay. Oh yeah, throw Mighty Guard out right before your death. This is an extremely valuable save point. You know that I'm using it. Beating Catastrophe is usually defined by whether or not you can weather the onslaught of Earthshakers. It's pretty obvious that at this level I can. Who's next? Halicarnassus? Shouldn't be a problem. Oh, I can't cure the frog status. But I have a secret plan, the Gaia Hammer. Not on everybody, but a few of my Berserkers have them. Okay, the idea was good, the execution not so much. Tiny Frog, too stupid to use Quake. All I need to do is survive until the AI loops back around and she uses Ribbit again. It'll be okay. Whew, I max damage Holy, but big mistake there putting all my Berserkers back to Wolfman and Tiger Girl status. My victory has become inevitable. Lena did die, but she'll be fine. She can walk it off. I'll go save. These Iron Giants really hurt. That counterattack is brutal, but I survived, so I saved. And that's all that really matters. Fighting my way back up there, it's time for Twintania. All I have are physical attacks, so Coral Rings are basically required to handle the Tidal Wave counters. I attack, Tidal Wave heals my guys, Twintania does something, I attack again, Tidal Wave heals my guys. Wash, rinse, repeat. Oh, God, he's charging Giga Flare. Wouldn't you know it? Little Jammy Jam's Cryle gets an instant death proc from the Assassin's Dagger. Easy game, easy life. Back down to the save point once again. I have a plan. My resources are actually super low. I just can't spend much more time down here in the Rift. I do have a strategy that I want to try though. Starting off, I'm equipping everyone who isn't Bartz with Death Sickles. Now I'm looking to get into battles with Sword Dancers. Sword Dancers can use Dance Macabre to zombify my dead team members. Bartz will be fine, he's got an Angel Ring on. So this strategy is, Bartz has the Bone Mail. The goal is to get my other zombified Berserkers to hit Bartz and get an instant death proc on him with Death Sickles and heal him to full health. Zombies will also eat a bunch of incoming damage from enemies since they have unlimited health. I'm hoping that this is the ticket to beating X-Death at a relatively low level. Gilgamesh goes down easily to Bartz. Now I'm at Necrophobe. Neo X-Death is going to be a massive pain, so I really want this save point. Bartz with the Thor Hammer is the only source of outgoing damage, so this is going to be a long fight. I'm really hoping that the barriers waste turns on hitting my 3 zombies and whiffing Bartz. Is it working? I suppose it's going. Whiff to death on Bartz, that's no good. 186 health. Come on guys, hit him with a death proc. And then Bartz ate a holy. Okay, I'll just try again. Listen, the core idea of the strategy is sound. I just need death procs to actually go off and they just aren't. Lena managed to kill Bartz. Very cool. Oh right, of course, I can give Bartz the Assassin Dagger. That way, if a death goes off on a barrier, it will reflect back to him. Simply genius. Holy does double damage, but Bartz has so much health that he can actually eat 2 of them. And aha, there's the full heal. I love it when a plan comes together. Randomized targeting is making this brutal. A surprising number of attacks are whiffing and hitting Necrophobe, which does no damage. One hit before he dies and Bartz immediately fully heals himself. I got 3 barriers left. Watching this is honestly stressing me out, but Bartz is getting full heals through instant death exactly when he needs to. 2 barriers down. I think this attempt really could go the distance. I outlasted the MP on the barriers. Pretty hilarious. One final full heal on Bartz before the last barrier falls. It's all you can eat, baby. But then Maelstrom goes off and I get slugged. Of course. My hopes and dreams right down the toilet. I gave Necrophobe another 40 minutes of attempts. It just wasn't happening. At least not with my current levels and setups. That's right. Current setups. I can steal many interesting things in the Rift with a Thief Knife. I spent quite a bit of time grinding here, but it was mostly fruitless. I did gain several levels though. At which point, I attempted Necrophobe again, zombieless. I just need to trust in the killing power of the Quad Zerker. I have some of the best weapons in the game. I'm disgustingly high level. Surely I can take out Necrophobe the old-fashioned way. Well, that attempt wasn't so good. This second one though, I got a good feeling. The barriers are destroyed and everyone's mostly healthy. Necrophobe's flash mostly whiffed, only Cryle got coolified. The onslaught of hasted physicals were more than enough. Nobody got knocked out, and here's Gilgamesh. Once Gilgamesh is in, it's only a matter of time. Guys, please, he's on our side. That's the final save point in the game unlocked. All that I have left is beating Exdeath. I'm feeling good. Let's see how this fight versus Exdeath goes. Dawn Warriors, lend me your power. The controller's down. Well, my hasted Berserkers crushed the first form. Exdeath got 2 attacks off. One was a Holy that Bartz blocked, and then a Meteor that did a lot of damage to the whole party. Let's see what Neo Exdeath's all about. Oh no, I can't just instantly kill the back part and I have to deal with it this whole time? Great. My Berserkers are doing tons of damage, and they're blocking and whiffing attacks all the time. But you know how this is gonna go. All it takes is one bad Grand Cross or one bad Almagust and it's all over. Neo Exdeath has a collective about 200,000 HP to cut through, and it's just never gonna be that easy. But I'm a glutton for punishment, so here's round 2, baby. Okay, this goes without saying, but a white hole is a reset, let alone 2 white holes. Just for giggles, I did about 30 minutes of attempts on Exdeath. Listen, I knew beating him at around level 58 was a joke of an idea, but I had to try. Dejected, I returned to the castle and started the massive grind session this is gonna take. Okay, we're on part, 12 of the recordings? Cool. Sounds pretty standard for these challenges. I should be wrapping this up pretty quick. What's the last one? Part 24? Oh god, this is gonna be brutal, isn't it? It most definitely was. Grind for a pretty substantial amount of time in the Rift, do some Neo Exdeath attempts that inevitably fail at level 71. Levels are definitely gonna help, but you know what? Gear is gonna help a lot too. There are a bunch of pieces of gear that will help me in the Rift. First is that I can actually get more Thor's Hammers from Deathclaws right here in the castle. Thor's Hammers deal good damage, and I can stick my Berserkers in the back row for added survivability against physicals and vacuum waves. Getting 3 more sounds like a really good plan. Next is that I can grind for both Bone Mails and Aegis Shields in the final crystal area of the Rift. Not something that I want to do just yet. Berserkers grinding for rare steals with a Thief Knife is possible, but man, is it ever tedious. Not to mention I'm completely tapped out of items. I have to leave the Rift. Outside of the Rift, I'm doing a complete restock of items, including as many elixirs as I can get my grubby little paws on. Then it's immediately straight back down to the castle. I'm going to bend the challenge rules just for the sake of actually being able to finish this run in less than an eternity. I'm trying to stay as low level as possible, remember? I'm gonna turn everyone to thieves and teach everyone Mug. Yes, I actually used equip axes to maintain my Berserker gear. Then I'm going to convert everyone to freelancers and give them the Mug ability. This is just spamming Mug so I get more consistent chances of getting rare steals off. This is totally doable as Berserker only, it just would have taken a very long time. If you fight enough enemies, the stars will eventually align and you'll get your rare steals, but I prefer to hedge my bets. I'm also going to jump around here a little bit too due to boredom. I grinded for about an hour on Deathclaws for little reward. Then I went down to the crystal section to try and get Aegis Shields from Gorgimeras and Bone Mails from Necromancers. I managed to get 2 Aegis Shields after about a half hour of grinding. That means that everyone's got one, and God bless us, everyone. You know what? I'm down here anyways. Couldn't hurt to try more attempts on Neo Exdeath. 4 Aegis Shields are definitely helping, as are the levels I've gained. Phase 1 down without much issue at all. But it's the exact same outcome on Neo Exdeath. Blocking vacuum waves and Almagust is great, but it's not 100%, so damage keeps trickling in, and with no way to sustain myself, I just get taxed to death. Right now, it's just too much HP to cut through, and you know, if someone dies early, it's a dead attempt. One more hour of fruitless attempts at Neo X Death at level 75. It's at this point that I decided that I just need 4 Thor hammers. Nothing else will do. Taking half damage from physical attacks and vacuum waves, that's just too appealing to pass up at this point. It's back to the castle and back to grinding rare steals on Deathclaws. After about an hour, I had 3 Thor's hammers total. I'm still short 1. May as well keep trying on Neo X Death though. I'm level 80 at this point. I'm hitting anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 damage a swing. God, I really hate how inconsistent the hammer formula is. Once again, these attempts were completely fruitless to no one's surprise. The lady in the back is proving quite annoying with her spells, so I ran some attempts using Reflect Rings instead of Hermes Sandals. It was not worth it. Losing out on Hermes Sandals for twice as many attacks with status immunity, just so I can occasionally bounce a spell back, is not even close to a valid trade-off. I have to get that 4th Thor hammer now, which means it's back to the castle and continuing the grind. I finally got it, and I went back for even more attempts, all of which, as you can guess, ended in failure. I was so fed up at this point I swapped to Samurai. I set Guild Toss to auto battle, and I beat Neo X Death into submission with the power of money. That was completely painless, but it was just to show you how easy this could be in my 80s. Then, I tried Berserkers with zombies again. 2 zombies with 2 bone mailers. Once again, nothing came of it. For my next trick, let's go back through the Pyramid of Moor and Isri Falls to pick up the Protect Rings that I passed over. Let's go to the Phoenix Tower too while I'm at it, why not? Was this the secret? Was 4 Protect Rings the answer the whole time? No, they sucked and basically did nothing. Protect Rings provide auto regen, but regen heals for so little in Final Fantasy V that it's barely noticeable. I have to put my faith in the increased killing power of Hermes Sandals. I grinded another hour of attempts on Neo X Death, using every single iteration of gear. I used 3 zombies, 2 zombies, 1 zombie, every single thing that I could think of. I just couldn't beat Neo X Death. Well, I couldn't beat Neo X Death sounds disingenuous. I'm just sitting here, waiting, and praying for my Berserkers to have the right luck to kill Neo X Death before they're killed themselves. So I did the only thing that I can do now. I went back to grind. I grinded to level 90. If my Berserkers can't win at level 90, I'll concede, head back to the castle, then grind, and grind, and grind, all the way to the max level of 99. God, this is like the 5th time I've seen this cutscene this run. Give me your power, Dawn Warriors, and Lena's dad. I've got another hour of attempts in me. What's an hour between friends? Death, 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 failure. But I feel really good about this one. Real good. At level 90, my Berserkers are so strong that the first form of X-Death is crushed easily. It's not even fair. I can hit him for 7,000 to 9,999 damage. He's got like 35,000 health total. Neo X-Death rolls onto the scene once again. Now the barrage of Thor's hammers begins. The spells and vacuum waves are coming out, but they're getting blocked. Almagust? Oh no, it landed on everyone, but it only does about 1,000 damage. I could eat a bunch of those. Grand Cross, what's the damage? Oh, nice, it whiffed. Well, of course, at level 90, it's probably gonna mostly whiff. Lena did get death sentence, but she's not dead yet. That means there's tons of killing power left. Almagest 2 comes out and it's mostly a whiff as well. Those Thor's hammers are still boomeranging around. They're throwing out anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 damage a hit. Ferris is almost dead, but there's one part down, the front part. Now the back part falls. Grand Cross and oh god, Ferris is zombified, but the rear part goes down. And then finally, the big beefy guy in the front gets obliterated. It finally happened. I beat Final Fantasy V using only Berserkers. AKA beating the game without any combat inputs at all. Final Fantasy V using exclusively Berserkers was finished in a lengthy 23 hours, 55 minutes, and 17 seconds at a whopping level 90. With 4 times EXP gains, this didn't take nearly as long as it should have. You'll have to quadruple the time for a more accurate assessment for real-time gaming and grinding, i.e. about 100 hours or 4 real-time days. Are Berserkers bad? In the Pixel Remaster, they're not nearly as bad as you'd expect. It just comes down to a simple fact. There's really no reason to ever take a Berserker over something else. Berserker's downside of permanent Berserk is so all-encompassing that it completely overshadows the rest of the job's potential. Randomized targeting is also a big issue. Hitting back row targets halves your damage output. If Berserkers always attacked what was directly in front of them and meat grindered their way through fights, it would probably be a lot better, but it still would have had some issues with bosses like the Sandworm or the Gargoyle Guardians. Confusion immunity is kind of decent, but it can be remedied by a Lamia's Tiara for a bunch of jobs. Axes and hammers are also okay, but they're in short supply until the very end of the game. The true MVP of the early and mid game was definitely the Death Sickle. If you're using Berserkers for any reason, you should absolutely go out of your way to collect 4 Death Sickles from Crescent Island as soon as you can. You will not regret it. Hell, if you're using exclusively freelancers too, it would be definitely worth farming some. As for alternatives to Berserker, well, obviously Knights are just a consistently better choice. Double-handed Knights will be more useful and versatile over Berserkers in every situation. Samurai are in a similar boat, and honestly, even a Dragoon, if you were to just never use jump, would probably be equivalent in power to a Berserker. You would do less damage, sure, but you can throw a Phoenix down, Elixir, or Soft in a pinch, making them way more useful. 4 Berserkers was doable, and honestly, I think that means that every job should be doable. That's because the major takeaway that you should have from this challenge is that being able to give your characters commands is a massive boon. The decision you have to attack, defend, change row, or throw an item is invaluable. It's the crux of this entire genre, having the ability to choose how you play out your turns. I had to grind to an absolutely absurd level to stand a chance at Neo X death, simply because I couldn't throw an Elixir or a Phoenix down. I could only watch and scream from the sidelines as they whiffed yet another hammer throw on a part that was 1 hit away from death. If you had 3 Berserkers and 1 character capable of throwing items, I assure you, you'd probably be able to beat the game like 30 levels lower. Berserker only is an interesting curiosity, but I would never recommend that you actually do it. It's a complete waste of your time. It's actually so much of a waste of your time that I did it twice. Once again, I'm shilling my Patreon and YouTube members premium content. If you want to see me beat Final Fantasy V with all Berserkers on the Super Nintendo version, check out the Patreon or channel memberships here on YouTube. It actually has some different and unique struggles and strategies to utilize compared to the Pixel Remaster. With Berserkers done, it's gotta be all smooth sailing from here, right? The only crystal that doesn't have a job completed is the Fire Crystal. I think it's time that I remedied that. But there's 5 jobs, so which one could it be?